Hello everybody, we are here with our Chaac guy. This is going to be Chaac solo lane. It is his best role. He is a big, beefy boy, and we want to play him like it. So we're going to be grabbing a Warrior's Blessing. I'm going to get tier 1 boots and a Chalice of Healing. And for my active, let's see who we are against. We're against probably a Kukulin. So another nice physical boy. He's going to have some good sustain, but I've got good sustain on Chaac as well. I'm going to do something actually here that you don't see very often, but I'm actually not going to buy a relic on purpose. This is a good learning lesson for solo. So what I'm doing right here is it was my intention to buy teleport. But because teleport inherently by the nature of its relic means that I'm going to back up to the base before I use it. It means that I actually don't have to buy it right now. I can wait and see on my first back if I need it still, and if I do, no harm, no foul. I buy the relic and I go back to the lane. Or if I get to a point where I'm like, ooh, I don't actually need teleport, I'm glad I didn't buy it, then I can go ahead and buy a different relic. Our start for the solo lane is still the same. We start at the blue buff, but you're going to want to save your ability until after this big beefy boy summons those little minions. That way you kill them all, so you're not sitting there just getting absolutely beat on by the little itty bitty minions. That's the one thing that changes, but you're still starting at the blue buff. So that way your jungler has the quicker clear so they can get over to the lane. On Chaac, we get our 1 at level 1. Chaac's 1 is your main ability. It is also the ability that your other abilities will interact with. We're going to get our 2 at level 2. And then at level 3, we'll probably get our 3. So on Chaac, our first ability is pretty straightforward. We throw down a axe into a, which is a big circle, and it is a large radius damaging ability, and that is all it does. Just a big fat circle for damage on a fairly okay cooldown, only 9 seconds. The special thing about Chaac's axe is that it is going to remain on the floor for 5 seconds. And that's important because it is going to have interactions with our second ability and our third ability. Our second ability, which is the ability that we got at level 2, is called Torrent. You spin around your axe and you hit your targets doing damage. You also increase your protections for each target hit up to 5 targets. Increasing your protections for each one of those up to 5 targets, and that's going to give you 4 through 20 protections. So potentially at the end of the game, that is upwards of 100 protections. Yes, it does proc on minions, so you can use it in a minion wave to get that credit. Now, the way that interacts with your 1, you want to throw your 1 behind a group of archers, then you use your 2, and you'll see that I dash through to my axe. Now, this is important for 2 reasons. 1, it is a getaway ability. This is Chaac's only getaway ability, is your 1-2 combo, but it is also bonus damage compared to just the regular 2. So your regular 2 has a set value of damage that it does, but if you dash through to your axe, you do 50% base damage on the way to your axe as well. So if you do this, not only if I am in range, it'll do the dash damage, 50% of the damage, and then the actual circle for the regular damage. So you can use it to kind of do an extra damage and a half times, if you will, on your 2. Chaac's 3 is his Torrential Rain. You do your rain dance. This is a slow inside of the area affected. A 20 to 40% slow. It is also an attack speed reduction. And on top of that, it is a heal for Chaac. Now, this also interacts with Chaac's 1 and you will have a rain dance around your character and around the location where your axe was. This is an important one for slowing down people when you're chasing them, but also because this does double stack. These effects that you apply on your... I might be dead here, actually. I got a little greedy. I'm going to try to use my 2 to teleport back. No, I'm not. I can see him running back towards my axe, and so I'm going to actually not teleport back to it because I can see him on the mini-map going towards it. So I use it as a bait, and I run away in the opposite direction. You have to cover one of those directions. Okay, I'm going to get Warrior Tabi, and then I'm going to start working towards a Void Shield. Now, I'm going to get Teleport. I want to teleport back over to lane. I feel like it's the right thing to do. There was no harm, no foul on me not getting that Teleport. So as we were talking, and before we got so rudely interrupted by an almost kill, is Chaac's 3 does in fact proc twice. So I've got my axe down, and now I've got my 3. The slow effect on him is proccing twice. That means, yes, an extra slow on the attack speed and an extra slow on the movement speed. It is twice the effect. I bought the wrong shield, but that's okay. So you get twice the amount of attack speed slow and twice the amount of movement speed slow. So wherever you are at in your skill level, it doubles that amount if you do both of them. Chaac's ultimate is a big fat circle. That big fat circle does damage after you channel the ability. It's about a 1 second channel. I don't think it actually says on the ability, but you jump in the air for about 1 second and then you slam back down. When you slam back down, you will do a bunch of damage to everybody in the area, and you will also silence everybody for 3 seconds. A 3-second silence. While you're up in the air, for that second that you're up there, you take 50% reduced damage from all abilities, auto attacks, everything. The fire giant, doesn't matter what it is, you just have a 50% damage mitigation on your character while you are in that form. I'm gonna use my ultimate right here because he was getting some good damage on me. But you can see I got way more damage on him. It should be noted you are also CC immune while in Chaac, so you can use it as a CC immunity. Oh, that was very greedy of him. Very greedy for him to do that. So at level 1, we got our 1. At level 2, we got our 2. Our level order for Chaac is going to be 4, 1, 2, 3 when you're ahead. And if you're behind, you can do... And if you're behind, you can do 4, 1, 3, 2. Either way, that will work for Chaac. We got to go back and find the actual shield that we're looking for. There it is. How about that? This is because as you rank up your 3, it is going to increase the slow, the attack speed, and the healing. So this is a great way to help save yourself. You get yourself a bunch of defenses off of this. While the 2 does give you protection, you're normally going to be using this as an aggressive ability or just a strict jump, like a getaway, like we did in that last engagement. Which is why if you're going to go defensive, I prefer to level up the 3 for the heals and the sustain. Finally, Chaac's passive, which you can see right here with these 5 stacks. Every time you land a successful auto attack, so you can't just auto attack the air. Every time you successfully auto attack, you gain 1 of these stacks. When you have all 5 stacks, your next ability costs 0 mana and, way more importantly, has a -2 second cooldown. A full -2 seconds on the ability, which is really nice. 2 seconds off an ability is very big particularly on some of your abilities that have a lower cooldown, like your one and your for your Thunder Strike. It's a very, very low cooldown already, only 9 seconds. So if you can get a little bit more cooldown off of that 2 seconds, I mean, heck, that's like a 33% cooldown reduction, basically, which is awesome. Hey, my team rotated over to the solo lane. Fantastic. So I need 1950 for my Void Shield. This is the item that I'm going to be getting first in this game. The reason why I'm getting this is right now the builds for solo lane are very, very hybrid oriented. So you don't really want strictly damage items. You're looking for items that are going to be giving like power and HP defenses. So that way you can get some damage off in these fights on top of a little bit of tankiness. Your sweet spot for protections is right around that 150 to 200 protections marker right now. So the shields are a very popular choice. So we've got the Void Shield, which is going to give us a nice 15% protection reduction, and it's going to give us physical defense. Physical defense is what we want first here. One, we're against a physical god here in the solo lane, but we're also against a physical jungler as well with the Ratatasker. So we get the defenses from the Void Shield from both of those, which is nice. Double the utilization. So for some classic Chaac combos here, step one is literally just use your 3, because look how annoying this is. Hold down the W. You're a big beefy boy. When you're laning phase with Chaac, you want to go pretty aggressive. You have a built-in heal. A lot of characters don't necessarily have an actual factual built-in heal, so make sure you're using that to your advantage. When you're using your 1, try to throw it behind things like I did over here, so that way you dash through them, you get that bonus 50% damage and the damage from your spin. Always trying to maximize that damage. When an enemy is trying to run away, you can throw down your axe deep like this, and then throw down your 3. Waiting for my ulti. I'm gonna use my ulti right now to CC immune that rat ult, using my 2 to get those boner protections and the extra damage off. And even though they've got so much coming on to me, because I've got the Void Shield, because I used my ulti for the CC immunity and the protection reduction, I'm gonna be just fine and dandy over here. Of course, always feel free to use your 3 a little bit willy-nilly. It is a heal, so you can use it without anybody around, just to make sure that you're getting that healing effect. Your job as Chaac in the team fights is you are going to be holding down the W key as hard as you can at their backline. Chaac doesn't really have peel. Not really something Chaac can do. Your only real peel is going to be to either use your heal as a slow or your ultimate for the quick knock-up silence. Realistically, the heal version of this is not super effective. The silence can be. I'm going to throw out my 3 right here, my 1, and then I'm going to use my 3. You can see he is now super slow in all of this. He has nowhere to go. I zoned him out one direction by using my Bring the Rain, what's it called? Rain Dance, by using my Rain Dance to cut off his location, and then because it's also around me, it meant that he either had to run through the slow that way or run through the slow towards me, and then I caught up with him, and we had the double slow action. Now I'm going to back up. I'm going to get myself a Runic Shield. This is actually kind of coincidental. I would always basically buy another shield here in the second slot. We misbought that first one going into Void Shield. Runic Shield, another item that gives you power, protections, and HP. Gives you a little bit of everything, and it's going to give us some nice minus power for the enemy Kukul Khan. And at this point now, because they are 4-1, I get to focus more into some physical type hybrid items. So for the rest of the game, we're going to be leaning more into HP and physical defense items. I'm level 14 right now. I got a ranked up Thorns. I highly recommend on your solo lanes, if you're playing a warrior, to try to get that Thorns right now. I see the lane coming into me, so I'm going to play this a little careful. I'm going to use my 1-2 in order to get those bonus protections online. I'm waiting on my Thorns until a little bit later in this fight. I'm going to try to chase this lane. I'm going to use my ulti. He's going to be silenced, so he can't use any abilities. I saved my ulti right there specifically until he was going to try to use some abilities to get away. Reminder that while silences, you might think about the most when you talk about mages, because it stops you from using abilities. Just because you're a physical character doesn't mean a silence doesn't stop you from using abilities. It's still 3 seconds of Erlang not being able to dash, use his ulti, whatever the case may be. We can go do a little fire giant pyromancer action right now. I'm gonna walk over, I'm gonna use my heal to make sure that I'm tanking as much as I can. So our classic combination on Chaac is going to be, in the middle of a team fight, I'm gonna throw down my Thorns because I've got this tornado on me. So that's actually gonna be doing a lot of damage to that Cuckoo, and it's gonna get him to go ahead and back off from that pyro. Your classic combination of Chaac in a team fight is you're gonna initiate one of two ways. Either you're coming up behind your enemy, and so you're gonna immediately start off with your ultimate in order to force their beads, or if they don't have beads, for the first 3 seconds of the fight, they basically can't participate. Or you're gonna use your 1-2 as a sort of initiation to try to get into the fight, and then you're gonna follow up with your ulti right when you're in the middle of them. After the initiation process has begun, your job is to look at their damage in the back line. That's going to be their hunters, their mages, because you actually do a lot of damage on Chaac. I think people underestimate the base damage that you have on Chaac. And with the kind of hybrid build that are in the meta right now, you can take on 1v1, even 2v1 these backline gods pretty easily, unless like a hunter gets crit online, then things can start to get a little bit tricky. Our third item that we're really gonna get right now is gonna be called the Sledge, and it is one of the best new items for warriors in the game. The Sledge has basically taken the place of Masamune. So Masamune got removed from the blade tree. There is now serrated edge there instead. And now we have the Sledge over in the hammer tree. Sledge gives 40 power, awesome. 300 health, sweet. 150 mana, nice. 20% CCR, we love that. And on top of all of that, it gives you an extra 10 magical and physical protections per enemy god around you, up to 30 of each protections. So this is going to give us a bunch of protections, HP, damage, everything we could possibly want. Throwing down the ulti right here onto Erlang to secure this kill. Now that we're after the 15-minute marker, this is really when team fights are breaking out in Smite right now. The average Smite game is going about 20 to 25 minutes. So make sure you're ready to rotate by about that 15-minute marker. I'm gonna throw down my 1 and my slow right here just to fight into this Ratatasker. And if they wanna come into me from the other way, they've gotta keep moving through that slow. Dodge that Cuckoo ulti there with a little smooth backstep and pop all of my chalices so I'm constantly getting that healing over the next 40 seconds. Looking at Medusa as she comes in right here. She went in way too far. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw my heal on myself so I can sustain right on up. And I just give myself a little bit of a wave. Not too worried about this Erlang right now. As we move into the later stages of this game, my main focus is gonna be on cooldown and physical damage. You can see right now I don't really have any cooldown. This isn't a big deal at all for Chaac because he's got that -2 seconds on his passive. so it's not really a super big concern for us. So as we get into our 5th and 6th item, I'm looking for physical defenses. I'm looking for cooldown. Well, we've got a couple of good options that we can go into. I'm going to actually go into a Spirit Robe this game. The reason why I'm going to go into a Spirit Robe is this is going to give me another 20% CCR. You can have a total of 40% crowd control reduction. This means that I will not be able to get CC'd that badly by the Erlang taunt, by the Medusa ultimate, all that kind of stuff. I love me some good CCR. Plus, is going to give us percent mitigations. Percent mitigations right now are still very effective. While protections themselves are not as strong as they used to be because of how much percent penetration is in the game, percent mitigations are still very, very effective because they work regardless of the amount of penetration that the enemy has. So I recommend it. Items like Spirit Robe, items like Oni Hunter's Garb. I won't be getting an Oni Hunter's Garb this game because I don't need more magical protection. And I also want to give a shout out to HP. The HP stat is also very good right now. You obviously have to be wary of things like kin size that are very good against HP builds, but Stone of Gaia is a sleeper item right now, and you should keep your eye on it for tanky builds. It is going to be the item that I'm getting 6th this game. Stone of Gaia got buffed in the most recent patch, and instead of giving you 0.3% HP per second, it's going to give you 0.5%. So I'm looking at this cuckoo in the back. I know it is my job to run at this guy. I'm popping my thorns right now. I'm saving my ultimate in case I need it for some damage reduction, throwing down my 1 and my slow. I'm keeping my eyes out for any big damage abilities right now. We're a bit deep past here. I need to get my Thoth through this tower. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to help him too much with that because the Erlang came this way. Luckily, the Thoth went the other way. So I'm popping my chalice to get all the healing in, throwing down my 1 in the middle lane just in case they were to chase. And then I can use my 3, which is going to put that big fat slow down in the lane to stop any potential chase. Wasn't really a good opportunity to use our ultimate in that fight. I was holding on to it to make sure I could avoid any sort of big damaging ability coming in or use it on multiple targets at the same time. Never really happened. So we've got the Spirit Robe. Now we're going to go get ourselves a Stone of Gaia. There's the button I was looking for. I clicked the button earlier that changed my grid on my items, and I was like, I always forget what that button is, but I remembered. So now we're working on the Stone of Gaia. Stone of Gaia gives you a bunch of HP right now. 400, plus it gives you HP 5 and MP 5. But the most important part is that it gives you 0.5% HP regen, which is awesome and is going to give you so much health back. I like a little bit heavier builds right now on the HP compared to protections in this current meta that we're in, where everybody and their mother has 40% penetration. It just seems the right way to go. So you can see the items that I've been buying this game, pretty much all of them except for Spirit Robe are going to be giving me HP. I'm going to use my ultimate right now on this cuckoo. We're going to force his beads. I'm going to run through on this. I'm actually not intending to fight this, but I do want to kind of zone them out a little bit while my Scotty's shoving over in the left lane. Popping my thorns while I run at this Medusa. He's going to be doing some good damage to himself. Tanking this Phoenix while I can for my team. I'm going to try to get them out of here. I got to reset it now. I tanked it for as long as I could. Now I gotta be careful because I'm pretty low, but we got the Phoenix in left lane for free. I'm gonna back up. It is officially time to rank up my teleport because I can actually use it efficiently. While I'm teleporting, I'm gonna rank up my Stone of Gaia and I'm gonna buy a Sentry Ward, and I have teleported back up into their jungle so I can steal some of their jungle. So for my items right now, you can see I've got the Sledge gives me HP, Void Shield HP, Runic Shield HP. While I'm sitting out around 178 physical and 138 magical protections. No blue buff there. This is right around the type of protections that I like. You can also see how much damage I'm getting. I'm getting damage from Void Shield, from Sledge, from Runic Shield, from Warrior Tabby. All of these items are giving me damage, so that way I can actually be a big threat to the backline, which is what you want to do right now as a solo laner, at least if you're playing a warrior. Obviously, this doesn't go for playing like a solo lane mage or something, because you can't clearly buy these items. Time to get set up over here around the fire giant. We do got to be a little bit careful because they have a Kukulkan, who's one of the better objective securers slash stealers in the game. So I'm going to stick around until my Thoth gets around, and then once my Thoth is here, I'm going to go look to zone. I am now going to stand out in front of the fire giant. It is your job as the solo laner to be on zoning duty. I'm going to throw my 3 over the wall because I knew the Medusa was looking for it. And now I'm going to call for the attack. I'm waiting for my 1 to come back up so I can 1-2 into this Medusa and then throw down the ultimate to put him down. I'm going to keep going in on this. I'm actually going to teleport all the way through, which is greedy, but I can throw down my 1, and now I'm going to 2 all the way over to it. Unfortunately, the Janus not so lucky on getting out of that. I don't think he used his portal in order to get out. Rat is in the air, so I'm going to stand in the back line with my team. Because we were all grouped up, he got a little bit, well, not too grouped up. You don't want to get too grouped up for Ratatasker, but grouped up enough. Tornado is down. I'm getting ready to go dive into this Phoenix. 1, 2, and here we go. Gonna start zoning out some cuckoo action. I'm running back towards the back line now, popping my Thorns. Cuckoo got completely zoned out. Still tanking the Phoenix for my team. After I've tanked it for a little bit, just gonna go ahead and reset off of that and head us over towards the right lane. Pop the last part of my chalice. We need to be a little careful. It's a little bit greedy going down the mid lane, but this is actually going to work out fine. I'm throwing down my slow for Kukulkan. He's already used his jump. Now we don't even need to go ahead and get that right-hand side Phoenix because we can just get ourselves the Titan. I should be able to tank this. No problemo. Use my ulti for a little damage immunity. Bada bing, bada boom. There goes down the Titan in a very standard 26-minute game. While Chaac doesn't have the most complicated kit, not being complicated doesn't mean that it's bad. Still a very solid kit. Big circles, he's actually a good beginner god as well. For people that are new to the solo lane or new to Smite in general, his abilities are a little bit easier to hit. So you're just looking to do a nice hybrid build, play aggressive in the lane so that way you can actually abuse the healing that you get from your 3. All that kind of stuff. So make sure that you're looking for that backline characters in the team fights. Utilize your silence on the mages and the hunters to put some pressure on them. Force them out of your fight so your backline can win the fight against their backline. And don't be afraid, of course, to give the enemy the sledge.